And what in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!
It is the Al Travis Show on the Monday after a terrible weekend. And I'm lucky to have the guests that I have. I'm going to be honest. Generally following Jack on Mondays would be Senator John Hoffman's slot. And he'd be on with us today. He is not going to be on with us today, obviously. As I think about the weekend, things we would have talked about, the Open, Jack is going up north with his kids, the things that I would have discussed with each guest, you keep coming around. It just doesn't make sense to talk about it alone. So I'm letting God today take charge. Jack, by the way, Jack, thanks for being here, my friend.
Hey, how are you doing today? It's sorry about your friend.
Honestly. Yeah, no, and I appreciate
Senator Hoffman as well, and,
yeah.
and he's a good man, and nobody deserves to go through what these people went through this weekend.
Exactly not. So I'm praying to God, what do you want me to do here? And I know religious folks, when I say that, I'm letting God take the wheel. We all know he's always in charge of the wheel, but today I'm literally just let me know what I need to say. And we're running through the group, and I have Jack coming on. And again, like you say, I know you're taking your kids up north. You're on the road now, Jack?
Yeah, we're headed up to Lake of the Woods. We're going to spend the week up there fishing.
Good for you. I hope your Father's Day was good. Things we would have talked about. But before we get to it, Jack, what hit me when I looked at, Jack's coming on, what are we going to chat about today? I got to believe you, your family, your friends are seeing this whole thing from a different perspective. And what I mean by that, for folks who don't know, Jack Zimmerman was injured on an IED, right? IED. In Afghanistan. He's lost friends in Afghanistan. He survived it, lost 2 legs and arms and fingers, and he's become a motivational speaker out of it. But when I'm looking at what happened over the weekend, John, Senator Hoffman, gets shot 9 times. His wife gets shot 8 times. How do I know that? That was from an email she sent to Amy Klobuchar that she shared. They got shot that many times. They survived, but literally down the road from them, Hortman and her husband did not. Can you explain, just from a 10,000-foot level, the feelings they must have? I don't want to say guilt, survivor guilt. What are they going through, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, when you go through a situation like they have, obviously there's 2 people that tragically lost their lives, and then Senator Hoffman, he survived this, and his wife, and they weren't obviously saved or graced by any means. They were meant to be killed,
Yeah.
And to survive something like that, and to know that somebody else didn't go through it, the survivor's guilt is going to be extremely heavy, I'm sure. Yeah. It's probably not going to hit him right now. Right now, he's still in the fight for his life.
Yeah.
He's in surgery every day. He's coming out. He's exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get some food down and get some rest and head right back into surgery, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of this all, when he gets home and his wounds are sewn up and he's trying to figure out what the rest of his life is going to look like. I've been there personally. These thoughts are gonna wash over him of why did I survive? Why did my wife survive? Why did 2 other people have to die? And then not only that, but he's also going to have to deal with the post-traumatic stress disorder of every time somebody pulls up to the house as well, and every time he hears a loud bang or the nightmares this man is going to have. I don't think that people are going to understand that either.
Can you share? I mean, I'd love it if your wife was on the program with us today, but she's not. You're driving away. What about her family? For folks who don't know, Hope, their daughter, was in the house at the time. How, mom's in the hospital, dad's in the hospital. You don't know if they're going to survive. I presume that's very Jack-like. Your wife, your family finds out you were hit in Afghanistan. You're in an ER. You're being operated on. What's it do to the family? Prayers going out to Hope is my point. I can't imagine what she's going through, hoping both her parents survive.
The the one thing that really came to me when I realized that the daughter was there, and and the husband and wife were both shot. Typically, your wife takes care of you if something happens to you. If something happens, both hurt. I'm sure they're going to have to rely on their daughter heavily to help them through this, situation. And we don't even know the extent of their injuries or what life is going to look like going forward. So it's a lot of us. And I think that as humans, we like to have we like pattern. We like to know what's happening. We like to be informed. And when you don't know what life is going to look like going forward, there's so much uncertainty. It's really hard on the families, and they don't know which direction. We always want to know where we're going and what direction we're headed, but you really feel lost at that moment.
Let me ask you this, and boy, again, speak to me if you want me to ask this question, God. You've seen a lot of people shot, Jack. I'm just being blunt about it. You understand how this works. It has to be the grace of God that she could be hit 8 times and John could be hit 9 times and they're still alive, right? I mean, bullets do damage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I heard that they were shot multiple times and that many times, by the grace of God, he had the in the terms of a survival, he had the ammo that would have kept them alive. If he would have been using a hollow point, they wouldn't be here today. And just thank God that 4 people haven't been lost. It's just so tragic. It's just so hard to. You have to try to find good in every situation, but when you're finding good in situations like this, you almost feel guilty yourself.
You're scratching at it. You're absolutely right. Let's talk through, if we can, what would you tell John? And by the way, I will probably connect you two as soon as possible if I get that opportunity.
Absolutely.
You wake up, they save your life. Thank you. Again, looking for the good in things. But you look, and the recovery that you had to go through. I presume they sat you down and said, Jack, this is going to hurt like hell. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do this just to get yourself back up to working and functioning. John's going to have some of that, I presume. His wife, Yvette's going to have some of that. What do you tell somebody? You do motivational speaking. How do you tell him about what he's going to have to go through to get to the other side?
Yeah, he's in a very pivotal moment right now of his life, honestly. And he's going to have to make one decision every day when he wakes up. And that first decision has to be that he's going to define the rest of his life. That he's not going to let this guy that came to his house in the middle of the night and caused terror and chaos in his life for trying to serve his state and country, that he has to define the rest of his life. And if he lives with fear of something else happening again, or somebody taking the rest of the joy of his life away, or the dreams that he still wanted to achieve and accomplish, if he lets those things happen, then he's letting that man define his life. If I would have stopped living the day that I woke up in the hospital and felt sorry for myself and continue to stop trying to live as hard as I could, then I would have let the Taliban define my life, and that was the last thing that I was going to do. And the only thing that can stop terror is prevailing through it, because it doesn't give them any victory.
Good for you. I love that, Jack. That's fantastic. One last thing before I go. You were in Afghanistan, were out looking for the bad guys, right? You understand how hard that is. And in Afghanistan, different foliage, I get it, but big desert. That was hard enough. What do you think of the police, the federal government, all the agencies that got together and found this guy in a cornfield in Green Isle within 2 days? I got to give him kudos. I think if you want to get lost in Minnesota, a guy could, and he wasn't able to because of the fine law enforcement. Your thoughts on just how they could get to him in 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, that was a very impressive manhunt, honestly. It seems like this guy had a pretty good, not the best plan in the world, but he had a pretty good plan put together here. It just wasn't done overnight. And the way our law enforcement here in the state reacted, and I don't think anybody ever really felt, too endangered, with the way the police presence was in these areas that we knew he was, and they stayed right on his tail. And it was great to see so many different agencies coordinate. And I think that if anything good can come out of these tragedies, you see that our government in these kinds of situations is getting better and better all the time at responding to situations like this. And hopefully it becomes a deterrent for moving forward for people wanting to do horrible, awful things like this,
I love that. And not to be a book pusher on this, but I want people to know Jack knows what he's talking about. When we're talking motivational speaking, this is who Jack is. He's been through it. He got to the other side. His first book was 5 minutes, 300 seconds that changed my life. It's an unbelievable read. I'm not again hawking books, but if you want to find out what Jack's all about, his second book, Beyond 5 Minutes, Lessons from a Wounded Warrior's Life Outdoors. He found a thing that made him happy to move on, and I think all of us can learn from it. Jack, I know this isn't how we were going to start our bit, how we generally do this thing, but I thank you for letting us go down that road with you. I can't imagine doing that on a regular basis is getting any easier. Thank you for doing that with us. We'll talk some fun stuff on the other side. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And prayers to everybody involved in this.
Amen.
And prayers to all the law enforcement that put their life on the line this weekend on Father's Day.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you. More after this.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Everybody knows you have to have a guy in the auto repair business. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop. I don't know. Ask him. Jay's Auto Shop's locally and veteran-owned. Paul's your guy in the car business. He'll fix just what needs fixing, make sure it's done right, and at a fair price. You want to know your car's being taken care of, take it to Paul at Jay's Auto Shop. 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 507-525-1052. 507-525-1052.
Amongst friends, the Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
And he is a great friend of the program, Jack Zimmerman, on sharing some heartfelt feelings and I presume old feelings coming back up, talking about what happened over the weekend. I thank you, Jack, for doing that. Lighter note, did you have a good Father's Day? You've got a couple of boys, right?
Yeah, my two boys. We pretty much spent the day packing.
Nice.
We're headed up to Lake of the Woods here, right at the Sportsman's Lodge. We're going to spend a couple days up there fishing and hopefully get some walleyes in the boat and get some walleyes in our bellies and get some of that. Life's so busy, Al, that if we don't stop and take a little bit of time every now and then to enjoy each other, next thing you know, life's going by in a flash,
Well, you've done this a lot with your kids, and with my three boys, I would tell you that packing and getting ready for a trip was probably the most fun, even more fun than the trip. I don't want to blow it for you, but the anticipation and should I bring this, Dad? Should we grab this, Dad? What do you think we should have? I enjoyed the getting ready almost as much as being wherever we were going. Did you find that?
I think sometimes as a dad, I forget that all this stuff is new and interesting to them, and they've never experienced anything like this. And are we gonna? Do I need this? Do I need that? Are we gonna? Are we stopping for this? And how far is it? And all the questions, And I was thinking about this on Father's Day. I remember when my kids were born, I was thinking like, how the heck do you teach a kid how to do this, and how do you teach them to do that? And I didn't even think about it. They pretty much ask you, whatever they need to know, and otherwise they'll find themselves in a situation. You got plenty of teaching moments, and I just think it's so awesome how scared I was to be a dad, and how lucky I am to now have my boys.
Let me ask you this: when you do you probably can't say this on the radio. Well, we talked about what do I care? When the boys and I get out on our own, maybe all the mom rules don't apply. We eat more quick trip sandwiches than we might let mom on to, or not eating healthy stuff. Do you have little rules that are, when it's just the guys?
Yeah, I mean, with me, it's kind of when you go to the gas station, just kind of get whatever you want. We're big Quick Trip sandwich people, Al, too, so a double bacon cheeseburger at Quick Trip, it doesn't get any better than that. But
and then how about gummy worms?
I don't really care about.
How about gummy worms, Dad? Yeah, go ahead. Grab gummy worms. What Mom would never do, just a bag of gummy worms. Yeah, the Quick Trip is a fantastic place for men and their boys to bond.
I'm big on you're a man. Go to bed when you need to, and I don't want to hear no complaining in the morning. You know what I mean? If you want to stay up late, that's fine, but I don't want to hear it in the morning if you're tired,
I absolutely love that. I should not share this story, but I will. But one of my boys, who will not be named, found out on the golf course you might be able to relieve yourself without having to find the bathroom across the other 6 holes, any good tree in a storm. We went through a phase where that was the funnest thing we've ever done. And like a new dog out in a new dog park, he was just watering the place. I laughed so hard, my wife found out I was in so much trouble. But hey, it's life lessons that we got to teach our kids.
I don't know why that is so funny, Al. I remember that too as my kids. That you just all of a sudden you look over and they've got it out and they're just letting it go, and you're like, well, I guess if you gotta go, you gotta go. And it's just. Yeah. It's just some of those funnest moments, and I think it's so different, Al, because now I can go back on my phone and I have so many photos and videos of my kids when they were young, and it's probably not the same for you, huh?
Thank you very much for that, Jack. That hurt, but there is something.
It's just technology, how awesome it is,
No, you're absolutely right, and it can be used for good. I agree. Now we'll get back to some serious stuff. I agree, it could be used good. I think Facebook should be banned now from anything other than pictures that you could send to your grandparents so they can see the photos, reunite with high school buddies. That's what it should be. I know they're never going to do it, but we got to get the social media to stop. The X and the people saying you're bad because you believe this, or you're not good because you don't believe me on this. Social media could be so good for us, and I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything always starts with good intentions, and everything always corrupts, it seems like. But you're right. It's awesome to see those memories come up, and I think it's a really good way sometimes, in a weird way, that technology can also slow us down for a moment. You can go back to that moment in time and remember that, and it's crazy, Al. Even though I am only 3'10", my kids are way taller than me now, and next thing you know, they'll be moving out of the house and living their own lives, and it's incredible to watch it happen so fast, but you can scroll back and see it all happen.
You might be 3'10", but you're a trained assassin. I wouldn't mess with you in my wildest dreams, Jack. Gotta fly. Thank you so much. I know this wasn't what we usually do. Thank you for taking time to be with me, Jack, today. I thank you and sharing. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, Al. It's always a pleasure.
Jack Zimmerman.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put